Guys, we have an assignment given by Madam Nabila about language and the brain.
Language and the brain? What is that?
According to social and non-relational rate of language teaching and applied linguistics, the study of the relationship between the language and the brain is called neurolinguistics. Neurolinguistics include research into how the structure of the brain influences language learning, how and which parts of the brain language is stored, and how damage to the brain affects the ability to use language. It proved that our brain and the production of language have a very close connection to each other. Without the brain, we are unable to speak properly, and damage to the certain part of the brain also could result to many problems in the use of language.
Hi, my name is SYAWAL and my concept is bilingualism.
Hi, my name is MOHAMAD and my concept is broadcast facial.
Hi, my name is JASMIN and my concept is feral child.
My name is IZYAN IRDINA and my concept is sleep of the ear.
Hi, my name is KHAIRINA YASMIN and my concept is sleeps of the brain. So what is sleeps of the brain? According to American Psychological Information website, brain sleeps are one of the types of verbal error that we make when speaking or writing, and it also could result in tongue tips or tongue slips. In general, there are three types of brain sleeps. The first one we call perseveration, in which a sound carries over from one word to the following words. The second one is anticipation. It happens when a sound is used before it occurs in the next words. And the third one is exchange, in which sounds in two words are switched. As we know, every time we want to speak, the brain first will process and organize the words or information that we want to say. So how does the production of spoken language happen in our brain? According to Social and Simply Psychology website, broadcast area, which is located in the left hemisphere of our brain, is where the production of spoken language happens. Broadcast area is a key component of complex speech network interacting with the flows of sensory information from the temporal cortex, devising a plan for speaking and passing a plan to the motor cortex that control the movement of our mouths. However, when we talk about sleeps of the brain, it is not likely that our broadcast area had been damaged or not functioning. This is because if this part get damaged, it will cause a serious problem to the person, as the person will having or will facing an extreme difficulty in producing spoken language, or we call broadcast aphasia. But according to Psychology Today's website, brain or tongue slips is just a normal or common thing that happens in everyday speech as we speak too fast, and it just happens spontaneously. I'm sure that all of us have experienced this situation before, whereby we unintentionally say things that are not originally intended to say by us. I had watched a video of an actress named Meryl Streep, an American actress that experienced brain or tongue slips when she gave speech at the BAFTA Awards. Let's take a look at this video.
I would like to thank Spike Jones.
As you can see in that video, she accidentally said "I would like to spank" instead of saying "I would like to thank." This mistake is caused by the influence of the next words of the word thank, which is Spike. Supposedly, she need to say "I would like to thank Spike John" instead of saying "I would like to spank Spike John." Hence, we can see that she is confused by the next sounds of the word that she meant to say. And this is called anticipation, whereby a sound is used before it occurs in the next words, as thank Spike come out as spank Spike. Thus, we can conclude that brain slips happen entirely below of our consciousness level and out of our control. However, we can reduce or avoid the slips from happening by speaking slowly and not feeling anxious while speaking. So that's all from me. Thank you.
What is sleep of the ear? According to a 1999 as cited in National Institute of Health article, sleep of the ear is the misperception of an intended speech signal, that is, a listener reports hearing as clearly and distinctly as any correctly perceived stretch of speech, something that does not correspond with the speaker's actual utterance. In sleep of the ear, it is not that the speakers actually pronounce the sentence or the words it poorly, nor the listener have any hearing problems. The error is made due to the listener perceive differently from what the speaker actually meant. Does sleep of the ear has any relation with our brain? The answer is yes. The slip of the ear heavily involved an auditory signal the brain receives as it is trying to make sense and comprehend what the spoken language means. This finding shows that a part of the left hemisphere brain is crucially involved in understanding spoken language, which called phonics area. According to George Young, this area is close to a part of the brain which called the auditory cortex that process what we hear. Hence, we can say that the slip of the ear most probably happen in the vernix area as it's trying to process, but it comprehend differently from what the speaker actually meant based on the understanding and the perception of the listener. A study conducted by Farah Ramadani about sleep of the ear found that some sleep can occur based on the listener's phonetic knowledge. For example, the word "say" is mentioned in the video interview that was given to the listeners. However, they heard the word as "safe." Phonological information were heavily involved in this mistake because the pronunciation of both words are almost the same, although the latter word, which is safe, and ended with the "v" sound. According to Joshua, our word storage system may be partially organized on the basis of some phonological information. There are several parts of our brain that functioning as our word storage, and one of it includes the phonics area. These regions work together as a network to process words and word sequences to determine the context and meaning according to the conversation website. Therefore, it is believed that slip of the ear can happen during the process of comprehend in the phonics area, which contains all the phonological information before it generated into spoken language via broadcast area. That's all from me. Let's hear what Daniel has to say about his concept.
What is broadcast aphasia? First, let me explain what is broca and what is aphasia. In our left side of the brain, there are areas which specialize in controlling our speech ability. One of the areas is called as broca's area, also known as anterior speech cortex. Its function is to help us producing our spoken language. Meanwhile, aphasia means an impairment of language function due to localized brain damage that leads to difficulty in understanding or producing linguistic form, which is according to the book The Study of Language by George Yu. To sum up, when we put these two words together, broca's aphasia, which also known as non-fluent aphasia, is a communication disorder which affects the speech ability in producing their language as well as to write. The theme language in the brain can be simplified with the term of neurolinguistic, which is the study of how language is represented in the brain, how and where our brains or our knowledge of the language that we speak, understand, read and write, what happens in our brains as we acquire the knowledge, and what happens as we use it in our everyday lives, which is according to the University Society of America. When we communicate, our brain has to complete a series of tasks. Different parts of our brains are responsible for each of these tasks. If one of these parts is damaged by a stroke or head injury, it can cause problems with communication. According to healthline.com, any neurological condition that damages cells in the language area of the brain will result in aphasia. Brain cells die when blood and oxygen flow is stopped or diminished. According to Michael Rotten from Maxwell Georgetown University, this will lead in trouble with grammatical structure in linking words, conjunctions, and the use of prepositions. As an example, the sentence "I draw the painting with my friends" may become "I friends paint." Now, we can clearly see the relation between broca's aphasia and the one of the real-world example is the case of Louis with early one. Louis was admitted to a hospital in Paris that specialized in mental illness when he was 30 years old. He cannot talk like a normal human being. The only way he can express his speech is by pronouncing a single syllable tongue, usually spoken twice and one, followed by expressive and gestures. Keep in your mind, this case occurred during the 18th. Research about neurolinguistics had not widely explored during that time. Furthermore, he has been dealing with epilepsy for many years. After 10 years of being admitted to the hospital, his right arm began to paralyze, followed by his right leg. As we know, the area of the brain that controls our speech ability located at the left side of the brain, and Louis is having those difficulties in terms of speech. Therefore, this is the reason why we are paralyzed on the right side of the body, since our left brain controls the muscles on the right side, and our right brain controls those on the left, which is according to verywellmind.com. In April 1861, He met Pierre Paul Broca for the first time for surgery due to gangrene. After his death, Paul performed an autopsy on Louis' brain and found damage around his Broca's area. From this case, it strengthened the documentation that our left brain controls our speech ability and Broca's area as the main area in producing language fluently.
Assalamualaikum to Madam Nabila and to all my fellow audience. Before I start, let's take a quick look at these pictures. These are the fictional characters from Disney and Studio Ghibli movies. Now, I have a very interesting question. What actually are the similarities between these fictional characters? Now, I'm very eager to talk about Fairchild. According to American Psychology Association (APA) and a research from Florida State University by Eleanor, Fairchild, or known as the wild children, is the children who have grown up with limited or no human contact and care, or being raised with the animals, which results in different behavior and social norms, as well as hard for them to acquire the language. Due to the lack of parents' interaction and limited cultural transmission, these children are not able to produce speech and comprehend language. Based on Lenneberg 1967 in his book Biological Foundation of Language, the ability to acquire language and the development of cerebral dominance begins in the critical period, which takes place at the age of 2 to puberty. The critical period is believed to be tallied with the lateralization process of the brain. Findings from Lenneberg also shows that the language development of feral children is actually underdeveloped because these children have missed the opportunity to learn the language to the fullest in this critical period of time. This has affected the Broca's area and the Wernicke area, which involve in initiating and grasping the speech to be understimulated. One real-world example of a feral child is Sujit Kumar, the human chicken. Sujit Kumar is a Fijian boy who is being abandoned by his grandfather after the death of his parents, and he was being put in the chicken coop even before he was 2 years old. After Clayton saved him and lived with him after a while, Clayton found that Sujit actually could understand her when she asked him to take off his shoe, and as a reply to her, he put his feet up for her. This shows that he might understand some simple words or cue even with the post-pubescent brain. Based on the research article on the development of language in Genie, the necessary neuromuscular controls over the vocal organs which enable human to produce the sound of language. In Sujit's cases, he was observing the chicken until he somewhat produced the sound same like a chicken. The chicken sound produced by him is not similar at all to the production of the sound of language. Thus, this explains why his language acquisition and producing speech is retarded. That's all from me. Thank you. Arigato. Kamsahamnida. Muchas gracias and assalamualaikum.
Wow, Jasmine, you can speak more than one language. According to George Yu, bilingualism is a member of a minority group grows up in one linguistic community, mostly speaking one's language but learns another language to participate in the broader dominant linguistic community. But referring to Encyclopedia Britannica, bilingualism is the ability to communicate in two languages. Children can also become bilingual by acquiring languages in different social contexts. Moving on to the relationship between bilingualism and language and the brain. Actually, by being bilingual, we can boost our brain power. The nerve in our brain project spaces in our left part of the brain and expanding the capacity of the brain to acquire more than one language. According to Science Daily, bilingualism can be employed in a clinical context to aid children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and also patients with decreased cognitive functions. As we all know, the perfect timing to introduce or learn a new language is within day 1 until someone hit their puberty around 13 years old. So, parents are encouraged to train their kids in knowing other languages as a second language, ESL, or as a foreign language, EFL, at this age, and it is called as critical period. So, basically, my real example is Jack Ma, originally Ma Yun, born September 10, 1964, a Chinese entrepreneur who led the Alibaba Group, which included several of China's most successful websites, including the B2B marketplace, Alibaba.com, and shopping sites. Taobao.com. Ma got interested in English as a child, and during his adolescence, he worked as a guide for foreign tourists visiting Hangzhou. Ma graduated from Hangzhou Normal University with a Bachelor of Arts in 1988 with a focus on English. He spent his critical period fully by learning English and excelled in that subject as a foreign language. As he sees the future in his businesses, he started to use English fluently as his second language. One of the obstacles faced by Jack Ma is the negative transfer between Mandarin and English, which shows an obvious difference in terms of grammatical structure and the pronunciations. Furthermore, he always got invitation to give speech to the other countries about his business, and he also came to Malaysia to launch Southeast Asia first Alibaba office in Malaysia. Can you imagine someone born in a conservative country like China ever achieved so many achievements by being good in English? He became an icon in business and encouraged the citizens to study and focus in learning English as their second language. This shows that he used his brain capabilities and capacity to the fullest by learning another language instead of his mother tongue language. So, this marked the end of our video.